15 seconds. Going to call the January 27th, 2022 Rutherford County School Board meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Tammy Sharp. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Thank you. I'd like to invite everybody to join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Questions, comments, concerns? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor? Oh, excuse me. Because we do not have Ms. Bratton here in person, we'll be taking the roll every time we vote. Is Ms. Bratton available? We're working on it. Okay. We're going to move on. Ms. Hopkins, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Maxwell? Yes. Mr. Estes?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes. She's not available yet? Okay. We'll stay tuned. Keep moving on. Number 5, approval of the consent agenda. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Ms. Hopkins?
Mr. Estes?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Maxwell? Yes. Ms. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Next item, we're going to move, members of the board, we're going to move the spotlight on education up in front of visitors. Mr. Spurlock?
Yeah, we'd like to recognize Oakland Middle School Theater Group for the 2022 Junior Festival winner. The theater group from Oakland Middle School completed at the 2022 Junior Theater Festival in Atlanta and was awarded the Freddie G for Excellence in Acting and Freddie G an Inspiration Award. So if someone would come up and kind of give us a little overview of what took place.
So this is our 5th time going to this festival. They didn't have it last year due to what was going on in the world. And this would be our 3rd time bringing home hardware for our kids. This group is very special. They won the Inspiration Award, which is really close to my heart. I may tear up. The Inspiration Award really shows the culture that we have built within our theater program and how these kids talk and build each other up. And it's just amazing. And only 3 groups out of 110 were awarded that particular award. And so we're just really, really proud of this group of kids. And we're very honored to be here today to perform for you guys. Wonderful.
Any questions for any board members? Okay, let's give them a hand.
Yeah.
Mr. Evans would like, I'm sure, to have, where's Mr. Evans? Would you like to take them out and get a picture of them? I think so, but I think they're going to perform. Are they going to perform? That's even better.
Wonderful. All right.
no to Gaston. Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. It's more than I could ever bear. Where? All the food. I'm disgraced.
Who, you? Never. Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Every guy here loved to be you, Gaston, even when taking your loss. No man in town has admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's on it, inspired by you. And it's not very hard to see why. No one's slick as Gaston. No one's quick as Gaston. Snacks as incredibly thick as Gaston. For there's no man in town that was manly. Perfect to pure their regard. Good accent, Tom Dick, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on. No one's been like Gaston, a kingpin like Gaston. Got a smoke left in his chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidated.
My, what a guy like Gaston! Give 5 hurrahs, give 12 pickets. Gaston is the best and the rest is on tricks. No one fights like Gaston, does his life like Gaston.
Wrestling match, nobody fights like Gaston.
But there's no one as burly and brawny.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. Every last inch of me's covered with hair.
No one hits like Gaston, matches wits like Gaston.
Match nobody spits like Gaston. I'm especially good at expectorating.
10 points for Gaston! Let's go! Shoots like Gaston, makes us beats like Gaston.
Like Gaston. I use endless in all of my days.
Why would it go? What a giant Gaston! Hey!
Can we get you guys to come up here so we can see on the cameras and stuff? Just move on down that way so we can get everybody up here. All right, let's give them another hand. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Guess what song we're going to be singing the rest of the night? Not going to attend. Okay. Thank you so much. Good job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome work. We should have kids come perform for us every meeting. It's the
Good
best part
call.
of the meeting.
Good call. You knew it, didn't you? I mean, oh, James? Okay, good
Whoever
call,
did that,
James.
thank you. All right. Unfortunately, Ms. Bratton will not be able to join us for this meeting, so we'll go back to regular voting. Next item.
Visitors.
Yep. Next item is going to be our visitors. Our first visitor is Mr. Chris Littleton.
Hello, board members. One quick thank you to multiple board members. Everybody's been really responsive the last couple months. Good meetings, conversations. So thank you so much for being open and allowing a lot more discussion these last couple months. That's great. But the topic I wanted to throw out was actually the shortages that we have at school for not just teachers. I had heard that the board was discussing alternate companies for substitutes potentially, and I hope that happens. I think everybody wants more teachers in school. But then also the shortages in other staff positions, specifically cafeteria workers. I mean, you guys know this, everybody knows this. One potential solution is to actually involve parents a little bit more. Would love to see that happen. I understand that requires a rule change because the existing RCS policy actually prohibits parents from coming and going, especially in positions like that, so freely. But I know, like, I can speak for my family and lots of others. I mean, we're happy to volunteer and pitch in, not just in the classroom, but in the cafeteria. To lend a helping hand. So I think tapping into the community and parents who want to be in schools would be just a really good idea. So I'm really throwing this out there kind of just as a proposal. I hope you guys take that one up because I think it would be good for not just the parents to get involved, but also some staff relief as well. So just putting it out there. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next visitor is Dr. Kathleen, Hermsmeyer? You got it right.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. My name is Dr. Kathleen Hermsmeyer. It's my great pleasure to speak to you tonight to introduce you to our Springs Charter Schools network of schools. I'm the superintendent of our network, and we serve over 10,000 students in 21 locations in California for more than 20 years. So our model is personalized learning. We help students to own their own education and learn how to learn through a process of incremental growth and development. Students work with their teacher to create a mastery learning plan, and they select various activities and resources to learn each standard on their plan. In addition to personalized mastery learning, we focus on the arts and using the community as the classroom, which involves hands-on, relevant, meaningful projects and also learning from experts in the community. Springs is here to get our very effective model started in Tennessee, here in Rutherford County. We will be supporting the local leadership in the startup development and establishment of a K-8 charter school, but the Springs Public Schools Tennessee will be a locally run enterprise, and we will mentor them as long as necessary. Students have found great success with our model, not just immediate success with academics, which we definitely have, but also long-term success after their years with us, because our very process teaches students to the life skills required to be independent, lifelong learners. We are submitting our charter application to your office on Tuesday, February 1st, and we look forward to working with you in the days to come. And if you want to learn more about our schools, our existing schools, we've given you some information for you to read at your leisure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Next item, number 8.
All right, this proposal, it was for information only. Were there any questions pertaining to what Mr. Morgan presented during the work session?
Members of the board, any questions, comments on the most recent maps? No? Okay, we will be having a special called meeting on Saturday where we will be addressing this further. So members of the board, if there's any other questions or comments that you might have that come up after this evening, request that you please send it to the director or myself so we can ensure that they can be answered on Saturday. Next item.
Our next item is the Title I-II contract, Framework for Understanding Poverty, found on tab 2. Ruben Perez of AHA Process, Inc. will provide workshop for teachers at David Urey Elementary. Teachers who participate in the training will do the following: use concrete instructional strategies to help students from poverty, understand hidden rules of economic class effects on behaviors and mindsets, develop a stronger relationship with students to impact behavior, and reduce discipline referrals. Topics include resources and mental models, family structure, language patterns, and more. Workshops will give new and veteran teachers tools to help students from poverty. Virtual workshops was planned for the January the 3rd of 2022, but it was rescheduled on-site training due to inclement weather closure. The new date for this training will be May the 3rd of 2022. Addendum to the contract is attached. The contract details are as follows. It's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The total cost is $6,260.32, which will be paid from David Urey's Title I and Title II funds. The cost includes a consultant fee, travel expenses, and book for each participant. The amount taken for Title I is $3,229.32. The amount taken from Title II is $3,031. That's a grand total of $6,260.32. Recommend motion to approve this contract between Rutherford County Schools and AHA Process, Inc. to pay for a framework for understanding poverty workshop for our teachers at David Urey is presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns by members of the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item, Mr.
All right, number 10, number 10, Thought Exchange Software Curriculum Instruction is requesting to purchase 30 licenses for Thought Exchange. Thought Exchange is a discussion platform that utilizes perspective, ideas, solutions for multiple strategic planning initiatives. These licenses will be utilized with public comment required for ESSER funding by our Title I schools for required parental engagement and by the schools for input on the state-required E-Plan. Curriculum Instruction will further use this platform to collaborate with educators on strategic planning initiatives and curriculum resources. The one-year cost for this 30 license, including training and setup, is $72,000, which is funded out of our general purpose software line item. As Dr. Sullivan had talked about previously, this gets more engagement with our parents, a lot easier for our title schools. Also, we are using it within our central office. I think it's a very important thing to do in order to improve our communication. Recommend motion to approve the purchase of these 30 licenses for Thought Exchange for 1 year as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Members of the board? I do have a question. It's 30 licenses. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so we looked at doing for our central office. Also, since this was in our software portion of instruction, we were going to include human resources, communications, several of our federal programs, and each one of our Title I schools as well. And then we also had 3 extra in the event that our principal leads at each one wanted to use them when they were holding their principal meetings.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
And I also have one, right? Okay.
Okay, no questions, comments, concerns? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Mr. Holden?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item.
All right, number 10.2, a charter school committee as required per policy 1.901, charter school applications. The board shall name the members of the team as its meeting in January of each year. The board shall designate a chair of the review team as a contact person for answering questions about the application process and receiving applications. Rutherford County Board of Education Policy 1.901 states the review team shall be comprised of members of the administrative staff for the district, community members, and member of the board with relevant educational, organizational, financial, and legal experience. A motion to approve the charter review team as presented.
Okay, members of the board, I would like to add one additional member. Mr. Wayne Blair has agreed to serve. Commissioner Wayne Blair has agreed to serve on this committee as well. So please include him in your list. And are there any questions, comments, or concerns by members of the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Second. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item, Mr. Spruill.
All right, number 3, school counselor supervisor, 612. We'd previously been allocated this position for a K-12 counseling supervisor. After looking at it and not getting a lot of hits on that on our application process, we determined it's best to split this up. So this position will now become a K-5 school counseling supervisor and a 612 school counseling supervisor. The positions have been budgeted as part of ESSER 3.0. If successful, one position will become part of our general purpose budget as previously planned, and the other position will be funded through federal funds. Motion to approve the K-5 school counseling and 612 school counseling supervisor positions as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Remind me what the salaries you think we can.
They would start somewhere probably between the 52 to 60, but could go up to 80 to 100 depending on with benefits what the person's license is, because it's a certified position.
And experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's per position?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item, Mr.
All right, number 11, number 1 on 11 is to authorize 2 additional inclement weather days for certain classified staff at Rockville High and Middle Schools for the school year 2021-2022. All classified hourly employees currently receive 6 inclement weather days for the current school year. As of January the 18th, there has been 5 inclement weather days used system-wide, with the exception of Rockville High and Rockville Middle Schools. These 2 schools utilized 2 additional inclement weather days for pay purposes this year due to a gas leak at the high school, which occurred on September the 8th and 9th, as well as no air conditioning in the building at the middle school on September the 16th, and no heat in the same building on November the 29th of 2021. This approval of these 2 additional inclement weather days authorizes employees to be paid for the inclement weather day on 1/18, as well as providing 1 remaining day to align the classified employees of these 2 schools with the rest of our district. There will be no additional costs for this unless the school year is extended due to more inclement weather, surpassing what we currently have in stockpile days. Excuse me. Approved motion for these 2 additional inclement weather days to the impacted classified employees at Rockville High and Rockville Middle as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Any board members? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. So move. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Second, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr.
All right, number 2 is a request from the Red Hawks Touchdown Club to apply for approval to Tennessee Secretary of State to hold a raffle in the fall of 2022. Red Hawks Touchdown Club is requesting school board permission to apply for approval for the Tennessee Secretary of State to hold a raffle in the fall of 2022. In order to do this, the club needs to have annual gaming event applications submitted to Secretary of State by January 31st of 2022 in order to be in compliance with the state of Tennessee charitable gaming law. In compliance with Rutherford County Board Policy 2.404, the Red Hawks Touchdown Club is requesting the school board approval for the fundraiser prior to the fundraiser being submitted to the Tennessee Secretary of State for approval under the terms of the Tennessee Charitable Gaming Implementation Law. Recommend motion to approve this raffle fundraiser as detailed in the Red Hawks Touchdown Club's detailed request to authorize the Booster Club to submit the request to Tennessee Secretary of State, which is in accordance with the state statute as presented. And the raffle is going to involve a 42-inch mower, right? Mhm. John Deere. Wow. $10. All right.
Sounds good, thank you. Any members have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
All right, number 3, resolution for temporary transfer of funds for the general purpose school fund to the federal projects fund for fiscal year ending June 30th of 2022, 2023, and 2024. Motion to approve the resolution for temporary transfer of funds from the general purpose fund to the federal projects fund as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item.
All right, number 4, I think we've hit that pretty thoroughly. You did go over the debt service, or maybe I just dreamed that up, but you did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, okay.
Once or twice this week.
Are there any? I think we heard it twice, did we not?
Couple times.
I think you might want to do it again, Doug, just for prosperity, okay? Huh. All right.
Okay.
All right, number 12, facilities, found on tab 5. TDOT offer for Siegel land acquisition from Thompson Lane Road and widening. TDOT has completed the appraisal process for the property along Thompson Lane to allow widening of Thompson Lane. The original offer includes replacing a sign, and the offer now shows relocating the sign. The sign can be relocated to Siegel High. TDOT's offer for 0.19 acres is $19,840. The land valuation is listed as $35,000 per acre. Motion to approve the sale of the 0.219 acres for Thompson Lane road widening in the amount of $19,840 as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns by members of the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
Next item is our 5-year building program for information only. Are there any questions that you might have from Mr. Lee? I know we're probably going to go back over this on Saturday also.
No members have questions? Okay, just like we did with the rezoning, if there's any questions that come up between now and hopefully tomorrow night, not too late, but if you will submit them to Mr. Spurlock or myself, we'll make sure that we can get them addressed during our Saturday meeting. Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
Yes. All right, number 3, Christiana Middle Storage Building. Dr. Kyle Nix is requested to purchase a storage building for the girls softball team in the amount of $2,866. This request will be funded out of the softball fund. Engineering construction is reviewed and reviewed the request and approves. Recommend motion to approve the Christiana Middle School girls softball request to purchase a storage building at no cost to the board.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Next item.
All right, 13, insurance update.
County Insurance Committee met today. I will email the board members the financials for the self-insured health insurance fund as well as the workers' comp fund. They did a preliminary estimate of increases in premiums for the county health plans. Should we stay on the county health plans instead of going to the state plans? I know both those are the options right now. If you recall, the county insurance committee voted to eliminate the deductible plan, which is the best plan that the county has to offer as far as benefits. So that will be going away next calendar year. It'll be here for the current year, but it will go away after this. That will leave two plans and one provider, Cigna, on the county plans for our employees to choose from. The HSA plan, which is the high deductible plan, and then the copay plan, which is equivalent per the state actuary to the lower copay plan or PPO plan of the state plans. The HSA plan, their preliminary increase for that HSA plan is 12%. And the preliminary increase for the copay plan is 3.2%. And that was the plan that had a 9% increase starting this month, going forward for this calendar year. Of course, the deductible plan is going away. They gave, well, I'll just stop at that. Has anybody got any questions on that? They had Mercer, who is the rate setting consultants for the county who gave this presentation. They, of course, said depending on going forward the next few months, they could see, a difference in those rates, depending on how the changes they've made, adding the, quote, skinny networks, the local networks for the plans. They're trying to mimic what the state plans did years ago with that, to trying to achieve some savings.
Doug, can I ask a question real quick on the HSA? About what percentage of our employees went that route?
There was around, I believe, let me check. Tell you real quick.
Was it a large number? Was it kind of like our HRA? Was it?
Yes, there was quite a few that migrated to that plan.
So which makes sense of why they're raising that 9% there and going to, is it deductible or copay?
The
3%.
The 3% was on the copay plan.
Yeah.
There was, and once again, these are just preliminary. Let me get that number for you real quick.
Would it be safe to say we've got a larger percentage on the HSA?
We have a large
That's my point.
portion.
So
Yes,
that's the reason why the rates are going up.
So, and that's.
Has the state shared any information as far as what they think the increases might be for next year?
The mayor said that he had spoke with the state, and he said they had a preliminary 9% increase. But then when I called the state folks after that, and they said they have nothing as far as this is what it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be a sizable increase. They have never, and I checked with them, they have never had that kind of increase in the history of their plan. But that doesn't mean it won't happen because of what's, healthcare wise, what's been going on this year. I can say this, in the last 8 years, the state plan has had a 0 increase for 3 years of those 8. We've never seen that with county plans. So it's, as far as, I hate looking at long-term, and I mentioned this in the insurance meeting, I hate trying to make long-term plans for our budget, for the BOE and our employees' household budgets based on 1 year. When we look at trend, the state is beating the county hands down with what the rate that they hand down to the LEAs as rate increases.
We're still keeping the same compatible HSA plans out there available for employees too.
That's right. Since the county's been trying more to move towards things that the state has already been doing for years, our employees would see very similar options, and also it would open up, for example, right now our employees have those 2 plan options, and they have one network provider, the network, Cigna. under the state plans, they would have Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna, and they could choose from network options, you know, the local and then the open access on both Cigna and Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's also, like I talked about last time, the state plan has that limited PPO, which is, it is only available for the local government employees and was crafted for that custodian, that EA in mind, that has health issues that should not be on a high deductible plan, but can't afford. And that goes back to, and I'll get everyone the numbers, the actual enrollment numbers right now by plan. I'll email that to you as well. And so you can see, you'll see, we have several employees that are in that high deductible plan because that's all they can afford. This would open up where they wouldn't spend any more to be able to get into a different plan with better coverage. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Doug.
The other thing was, they spoke about that, the Medicare option, the Medicare Advantage plan, you know, versus for the post-65 versus the Medicare supplements that the county post-65 retirees are on. There is some substantial savings, and Dr. Anthony and I checked, and there's other communities like Williamson County, Davidson County, and in several states like state of Alabama, that all their post-65 retirees are under Medicare Advantage plans. So this is not a new concept that they're introducing as an option. With that said, spoke with chair lady, and we would like to have Cigna come and do a presentation to this board on this next time on why a Medicare Advantage plan would help our retirees, and then of course allow you folks to get to ask questions. They went in depth on this in the December meeting, and I'll send each of you a link so you can see that meeting, and as they go through detail, and that way you'd be prepared to be able to ask questions. But that's all I've got, unless you got a question.
Any questions?
Any of the employees weighed in on what their preference is?
We have put out we've put out on our website the informational session that was done with Ms. Lee from the state health plans, the director. We've received several questions from our employees. We are compiling that into a master list that we'll send to the state health plans. We're also adding some questions of our own that through telephone calls from our employees that we've heard. So we're going to have that, and once we get those answers, we'll put that up for our employees. We'll also send out a survey as well before we put this in front of the board for consideration.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, concerns? Thank you. Next item. Director's update.
Yeah, we got two things. First of all, on top was the TWAA, which is in conjunction with the National Federation of High School Athletics, has gone back and amended a protocol that they had in terms of an athlete that was positive with COVID. Before they came back, they would have to have medical clearance. Now they broke it down in tiers, and they've done away with the requirement of a medical release, if you will. One of the things, it does say within the memo is that the LEA can implement what they want. All right, now the three categories is those that were either asymptomatic and didn't have symptoms, those that were moderate, and those that were extensive. Now, one of the things we do know, and we've heard from medical advisors, those that really get this thing, sometimes they can create myocarditis, heart issues. So the question would be to you guys, do you want to go as the TWAA says we can and not require a medical release, or do you want to implement something, keep the medical release or something that can absolve us from any kind of litigation in terms of if something was to happen? And we'll send that to you. Coach Harris, is there anything you can add to it? If you can, you want to come up to the mic there and...
Yes, basically what it is, we had the return to play form, and that was just for the doctors to check out the student athlete's heart before they could get back into action, because there had been some evidence of student athletes who had gotten COVID across the country who had some heart problems. So the TWA previously had recommended that all student athletes have this return to play form. So now what they've come across is that there's been several studies that have been done, especially student athletes who are asymptomatic, that they're not having as many issues. So now they're leaving it up to the LEAs to let them make the decision. What we are tasked with, or you all will be tasked with, is making that decision for yourselves. So do we still want to go ahead and we have this form already, or do we want to just allow the students just to come back and go back to team activities just like a regular student would come back after getting COVID? That's the issue. So there is some liability legalities that you would have to come into play, possibly. So that's something that just has to be considered. But so the TWA basically has just shifted the burden to the local education associations.
So wouldn't the parents have a play in that? I mean, Mr. Reed, maybe you could chime in on that. Wouldn't, if the parents signed a release, what would supersede?
You could put together a release that parents could consider signing, yes, if we want to go that route.
So will this be an item that we see on the agenda?
I
at the next board
thought
meeting?
we'd do it. Mr. Reed, even though they sign off on it, that would absolve us of any litigation?
It does not absolve you from litigation, but it gives you consent for participation, and it's something you can take into account with respect to you want to continue the program or not.
Aren't athletes required to have a physical on file before so we already have a medical, so Ms. Sharp, I wonder if maybe this isn't, a parent's consent, maybe we do need to move forward with this if we require that physical.
But keep in mind, we're talking about after they've already had their physical and they have gotten COVID, and to what extent? I think, quite frankly, the one on the extreme one, there's three different scenarios: those asymptomatic, those slight symptoms, and those that are extreme symptoms.
Yeah, that's the issue. There are some who are asymptomatic who are not showing or having very mild symptoms like cold or whatever. Then you have those who are extreme symptoms. They have a flow chart that they go by, and so if you have extreme symptoms, they want you to get a EKG or something like that and have a cardiologist look at you before you're released to go back. So that's what and sometimes even if you have a mild symptom, they want the doctor just to look at you and just to a stethoscope, just to hear your heart before you're released.
Maybe I wasn't very clear. We don't allow our parents currently to exempt out of a physical to participate. No, they have to have it. So, okay, that's.
And we have been having them sign off a medical release when they had COVID too, right?
Yes. Okay. That's all part of that form, return to play form.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? But we will see this on a future agenda. Thank you.
All right, the second thing is, I think we saw it the other night, the proposed initial framework. As we looked at this thing, and I explained tonight, if you look at it, and I'm sure I don't want to steal anyone's thunder about the announcement that the governor made, but I'll go on and talk about this. The base would include, and when we're talking about funding, it would include both state and local. Then you go to the weights, which is identified through what students need. And then the direct funding, primarily consider that is, fixed cost. And then there are some built-in incentives there as far as outcomes are concerned. And I think as you look through there, if you didn't, and you saw it tonight, you didn't get to see it tonight, you heard it, they've put some weights on what they consider important. I think one of the unique things I like here in the very beginning on the weights, when it talks about fast-growing communities, us getting our growth money early. What do you think about that, Doug? I do too. You know,
Genius.
getting your growth money early is always good. And this is a student allocated funding formula, which means that money, anything that each student would be unique in terms of the weights, in terms of what additional things. Now, I will tell you that this is not an exhaustive list. There's still going to be some things put in there. Looking at the incentives, the outcomes, you know, those are some of the things that are good. I don't have a problem with them at all. I think it's good to have incentives and have some outcomes. Any questions? Our last meeting for our subcommittee is tomorrow. So anything new that comes out of it, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Any other questions for the director? Next item, Ms. Maxwell, Tennessee Legislative.
Well, I have just a few items of note. It's regarding our state. Just recently, a key Senate panel recently approved legislation that would provide public money for private school tuition for Tennessee students whose school systems did not offer in-person learning all year. The bill would extend voucher eligibility to students in any district that does not offer 180 days of in-person learning due to COVID pandemic for the 3 upcoming school years beginning September 1st, 2022. Just recently, the governor was in town yesterday, and there was a business lunch that I attended, and he teased the group about what he was going to say in his the state address, and we're all waiting to hear what he says. He will discuss the BEP, and I believe he will address this bill as well. So, looking forward to hearing from it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Number 16, Federal Relations.
And federally, Secretary Cordona, just today, said that schools should focus on tutoring, mental health counseling, and closing achievement gaps that widened during the pandemic. He urged all schools to provide 30 minutes of tutoring 3 days a week for every student who has fallen behind. Schools should double the number of counselors, social workers, and mental health workers in our buildings. The Education Secretary says schools should achieve those goals using the federal dollars from the American Rescue Plan.
Thank you.
Did he say anything about them being recurring funds?
That would be nice.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. General discussion?
I would like to, since Mr. Littleton brought up the change of the policy and bringing the parents in the schools, can we talk about that? And do we need to put that on our policy, our next policy meeting, to see what needs to be changed? Do we need to put procedures in place?
I think not to interrupt you, I think we do have the autonomy to do some work. I mean, we can raptor them in, and what are the, I think we've been using teachers, EAs, and things like that. Is there anything that would preclude them from, you know, obviously they wouldn't be around the machinery, and would anything keep them from being able to serve food? Dr. Anthony?
Of course, the non-financial would be, of course, you know, making sure background checks to make.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We would have that.
that's a given.
Right.
that.
Keep in mind now, on the Raptor system, we would have that, and there would be some employee with them
Yes.
that's employed by Rutherford County Schools.
And like you said, I believe some schools are using volunteers from parents. One of the big things in the overall picture, I'm saying that's wonderful if people are volunteering, I'm sure they are, but the other thing is just scheduling, you know, as far as we had discussed, we're doing over 42,000 meals a day in our schools, and if you've ever seen a ham breakfast or a fish fry with, you know, on a volunteer fire department, it's hard to get to have consistent staffing with volunteers. And my point is, I'm not saying that's not good, but the point is we have to have staffing, and that's what.
I think there's something there we could work. I mean, I don't know what the volume would look like. Obviously, we don't know. But I do know that we've been short-staffed a lot of times, and we're, that I was speaking to our manager over our food service. He's not had any options to turn to. He's worked it many times. So I think that what we probably can do is get with Eric and kind of see, if there's some trends of schools that are having an issue of staffing, and whether it's for breakfast or, stuff like that. I think we can work out some things. We would have to do it organized. We'd have to get organized and get Eric in and see how many volunteers are we talking about? How many do we need? What schools do we need them? And when do we need them?
I think there's an appetite for the parents to become involved again, and they love to come in and serve lunch, especially in the elementary schools, they like to do that. I'm not suggesting at all that we supplement our workforce with volunteers. Obviously, we're going to still try to, fill those positions, but I think we'll probably have a bigger response than most people. I think we're going to be surprised. It is a volunteer state, so.
Dr. Anthony, how many open positions do we have in our food service currently? Do you know? I got you. So there's 21 open positions?
And so that was out of 50 positions, so there's quite a few that are trying, even today, and Brittany was going through a 4
How are we covering that? How are we covering it?
Eric's moving staff from school to school, and then if he can't get someone there, it's the EAs and the teachers. And then if need be, the ladies that work there, they're going in there. It's APs, it's principals, it's all hands on deck.
Can we get get Eric? Can you set up a meeting with Eric and Mr. Littleton there and see?
I think what it would be as simple as, and I'll talk with Eric in the morning, is find out which schools, and then maybe have the principals send out something to the parents, like through our phone system, to ask who would be interested and what times you'd be available, and let Eric schedule them.
I would definitely say they would be more elementary. I don't know if I want to go serve in high school and middle school, but who knows?
And they need to, if they're going to serve, they need to go through the Raptor system and get all that up front, so
Right.
when they come to.
Right.
And most parents that are coming, if they're willing to do that, they've been in the school before, so
That's
they've
true.
been
That's
wrapped
true.
in most of the time. It's going to be your more involved parents that would be interested in doing something like that. So I'll get with Eric, and then we can get back with you and everybody else.
Sounds good.
I do appreciate the question as well. It's something that we've been looking at and exploring, even if just for a short period of time. So, and I do think that since the food service is centralized now, we should work with the principals. They know better their parents than anybody. So I'm sure there's a handful of parents already ready to help. So,
I get asked that a lot.
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Young?
I had a parent come in and talk to me the other day about choice school options, and I think we need to start thinking about how we're going to roll this out, and so that the parents will know what the options are.
We actually already have it under, and that's a good question. We've got it, go ahead. Shep.
We've been, we're in kind of choice school application season now. We've done that during December and January. We've been rolling out videos every day in December. There was a week where we had one every day. I heard from McFadden last night that they've had a record number of applications this year. And we're really pushing that. We have 8 school choices now. I know that Ms. Johnson and Ms. Bratton did a video with us too to help promote those. So we're pushing more. And then we have a new choice school coordinator. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Who's also coming online and is going to be helping us with some marketing and branding of that as well. So
Can we bring all that together in terms of a blitz, a media blitz, bring it
Justine and I
together?
have a meeting in the morning at 10 a.m. to do
Okay.
the same thing.
All right, good, thank you.
This here wasn't necessarily a choice school that we currently have. This was a parent asking, could they move their child from Rockville to Walter Hill, which is not a choice school. And they're saying under the new state law that they were.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. You're talking about zoning.
Open
Go
borders.
ahead.
So zone exemptions start on February 15th. We'll start advertising on the 1st, which is next Tuesday, which schools have spaces available. We have surveyed all the principals to gather the information. The instruction department signed off on it today, and Mr. Spurlock's doing a final review tomorrow. But under the new state law, we will advertise those positions that are available at any school that has space available. We will take applications for a 60-day window. All this is going out to parents very soon. And then once that's done, if need be, we will hold a lottery for any, if we have more applicants and spaces available, we'll have a lottery. But if we have fewer applicants and spaces available, they'll all get approved. That's that new policy the board approved a couple of months ago.
Do we have anything in place, how many times they can move like this, ask for a zone exemption, or?
No. Under the state law.
They didn't put that in state law.
But,
There's a lot of things they didn't put in state law.
yeah, that's true. And there's not a ton of movement like that. I would say a majority of people, once they get into the cluster that they want to get into, that's where they want to stay. You have some occasional anecdotal situations, but that's not the norm by any means.
I'm going to disagree with you on this point here, because you can do it, and there'll be more there will be some that will hop around.
Well, especially under the new law.
I'm saying under the new law.
Previous system.
Before, the board had control over it, the LEA had control over it, but with this new law, I mean, who knows? You get upset with the coach there, over here.
Well,
Yeah.
how does that work, Mr. Harris? How does that work, say a freshman plays the freshman year at one school, decides he wants to go over to this school, and transfers, does he get to play right away? Does he have to sit out? I mean, do the old rules apply there?
They'll have to look at his previous athletic record. He may have to sit out.
Yeah.
You'd have to move.
Yeah, once they establish an athletic record at one school, then they are not immediately eligible. That's at least.
Unless they make a legitimate move into that.
Yeah, if they move, that's a different story.
Ms. Sharp, you had a comment?
So just a final comment, a thought. I know we're meeting with legislators, and some of us meet with them on a regular basis, and a lot of them have cleanup bills. I don't know why we couldn't convince one of them to put some parameters in there about changing in a cleanup bill.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So tell me what you want.
I could just see this being problematic if we're not careful, and I just
You're right.
feel like we need to probably have some discussions, because it hit me, and I didn't have the answer, so I just feel like we need to probably, add this to the agenda and get all the right people in here and just discuss it.
I'll make sure the board gets the exact thing that parents get, so it'll help you answer. It's going to be some FAQ style things, so we expect a lot of questions because it's such a news.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Estes?
Thank you. Y'all bear with me for a minute here. Over the past 30 years, I've served on some kind of board for Rutherford County. And it's been very enjoyable. Meet a lot of nice people. Every now and then you meet ones not so nice, but you just go along with it. After talking with my wife and family and having a few health problems the last year, I've decided not to seek re-election in August. I hope that there's some people out there that are interested in serving. It's very rewarding, and that's what our nation's about, is service to your country and community. So, I can thank a lot of people for being up here. Board members that I've served with and worked hard. Directors, Mr. Odom, Mr. Spurlock. I'll have to say, we've got probably the best school system in Tennessee, and maybe one of the best in the nation. And I'm going to give you an example of that. A few years ago, we were in San Antonio at the National School Board Convention. And I'll pick out CTE because I taught that at one time, but we were in a meeting, and they were explaining things people could do in career technical education. And Rutherford County had been doing 8 and 10 years before they were even talking about it. So we have a great school system. It's a great place for somebody to serve. I appreciate everybody's help. this bunch over here that we call and ask questions of. I'm assuming that all the answers I got were correct. I appreciate what y'all do. And same thing with the directors over the years. You know, a lot of these came in under superintendents many years ago. Not that they're getting older, but maturing. So I do and appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. We appreciate your service. A few items I'd like to draw your attention to, members of the board. You should have an envelope with a note at your desk. It is the director's evaluation. There are instructions there. Please complete that. There is an envelope to mail it to TSBA. I think our deadline is February 10th. We'd like to have it to TSBA by. And the other thing is Saturday. Again, we're having a special called meeting. If you have any additional questions, if anything comes to you, feel free to email it to the director, Ms. Hopkins, myself. I would like to have a very fruitful meeting on Saturday. That will be this Saturday, day after tomorrow, at 9 a.m. Thank you to the staff and for everybody for being here. No other business. We are adjourned.